Hi.
Hi.
Eli Shine, welcome to Jerusalem Life Coaches.
Thank
It's
you.
lovely to be interviewing you. You've come from London, and you tell me you've been here 3 years in the wonderful city of Beit Shemesh,
Right.
and you trained here as a coach, is that right?
That's right. In England, I trained and worked as a psychologist, and since moving to Israel, I've metamorphosized into a coach.
Wow, that's great. So, tell me something. In your work as a coach, what kind of people do you work with?
So I work with all kinds of people. I've worked with businesses and organizations. In particular, one group I went to, I worked with 5 women in a department of an organization, and together in less than 2 hours, we found out what was their biggest time waster. And they'd actually found one thing, drop-in visitors, which was wasting between them up to 40 hours a week.
Wow.
And within that short period of time, we found it and we made a plan of how each of them was going to tackle that. And it adds up very quickly. One of my main areas that I work is in time management. So if we can find 1 hour a day that we can transform into productive time, that's 5 hours a week, that's 20 hours a month, and it's over 6 working weeks a year. So if each person in that room just took 1 hour, that's already a great saving for the organization.
Awesome.
And the other benefits are higher self-esteem, feeling better about your job. Those all come with.
That's just wonderful. Now, can you tell me that you told me that you work with all kinds of people, yeah? You work with individuals, and you work with couples, and you've been doing this for quite a little while. So do you want to tell us some of your experiences about this? It's some more stories.
Sure. So I do workshops where everyone's coming in and working on their own, and always my favourite feedback from them is when someone comes back after a couple of weeks and says that not only have I made the changes, but my wife has noticed, and it's made a difference to my family. That's what gives me the most nachas. Often one of the things one of the reasons why I got into time management myself is because I would forget about things, and I'd put things off. And what I've managed to do now is I might not do it straight away, but it won't get forgotten because it will get put on a different day or get arranged for a different time. And so what I found with men that I've helped is they've been able to say to their wives, sure, I'll fix the washing machine. I can't do it now, I'll do it tomorrow afternoon when I have some time. And that really helps in a big way for people, so they don't have to drop what they're doing, but the other person knows it's actually going to get done as well. I also work one-on-one, and also in couples. I particularly enjoy it when couples come and they're supporting each other, because obviously we live in relationships, and so what happens to us affects other people, and also our environment, including the people around us, affect how we manage our time. And so if we get good at helping each other, then we're actually going to be able to get to our goals faster. Time management and goals really go together. They're really one and the same, because everything that we do, everything that we intend to do, is a goal. It could be a small goal.
Right.
And even getting out of bed in the morning, brushing our teeth, those are very small goals. And there are larger goals, obviously, and lifelong goals. And all these things are the way we get to our goals is by using our time correctly, by working towards our goals. And of course, the best way is little by little.
Okay. So tell me something about the difference, your experience working as a psychologist and working as a coach.
I like being asked that question. I find that it's much easier to work as a coach. It's a bit more fun often, because as a psychologist you have to be much more careful. You don't want to push someone who's anxious. You have to be careful. You don't want to make them too anxious or more anxious. And there's good reason for that. When people come and they're traumatized, we have to be careful. With coaching, someone who's coming to coaching is already asking to have their feathers ruffled a little bit. They're already asking, or at least by the end of the first session, they're going to realize that the whole point of coaching is to take them slightly outside of their comfort zone.
Right.
So it's easier to really challenge people and help them to grow and stretch and go into the direction that they really want to be going.
Wow. Can you tell me something about your experience in changing people's lives? How do their lives change?
Well, I think that our life is a trajectory, and it's going in a certain direction, and if we don't change anything, we'll end up in a certain place. And when we make small changes, the whole trajectory changes and we end up in a totally different place. So often for many people, it's small changes. Now there are in terms of time management, two main different types of people. Some people like everything to be exact and follow through from tasks from beginning to end, very rigid. And on the other extreme, we've got people who are all over the place, very creative, don't want to be tied down by anything. And each one of us is somewhere along that line. And I don't want people to come and change who they are, but you can still be who you are and develop one part of you. So someone who's very, very rigid might be learning to allow some more flexibility into their day. Someone who's all over the place will want to find some areas where they can really control and bring under their own influence what's going on, as opposed to just allowing it to be random. So we're talking about often small changes, and those small changes lead to larger changes. I think that's one of the real skills of a coach, is finding the right level of goal. So we tend to either set our goals too low, in which case we don't make the progress that we need to make, or we set them too high, which means that we don't even try, or we start and we fail pretty quickly. And the coach's real first step is to set that goal at the right level, so the person is stretching but not cooking.
That's a nice phrase, stretching but not cooking.
If we look if we look at physically, it's quite obvious. If you want to get fit, we need to stretch ourselves. But if we stretch too much, we'll injure ourselves. So it's about finding that balance, and it's the same in all the other areas of life.
So Eli, I really want to thank you very, very much for coming. Is there anything else you'd like people to remember you for?
One of the things that really stands out is a client I'm working with currently who on the outside is very organized, and everyone sees her as being organized, but on the inside she always felt that she wasn't quite organized enough. And within a couple of weeks of working together, she's managed to actually make the inside like the outside. So she actually is organized as well as just looking organized. And one of the beautiful things that has come out of working with her is that she has been working on herself, and because of the changes she's made, her whole family has kind of changed with her. He hasn't tried to change anyone else, but because she's ready earlier, so they're ready earlier. And it's the effect that's had on those around her, I think, is almost as profound as the effect it's had on her, and that's the power of coaching.
Very powerful. Eli, how can people get hold of you?
Either by email, eli@happyshines.com, or you can call me on my mobile number, which is 052 643 7722.